hearts race, and the crowd goes wild. All across the nation, the Dirt Track Warriors duke it out for what matters the most: the trophy and the glory. This is Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises.
And welcome back in here to the studios at R&R Enterprises. This is the place where we talk about what matters the most, the trophy and the glory. This is Gas and Glory. Kyle Luders and Neil Quick with you once again, recapping some exciting racing action. And Neil, it really does feel like the off-season is upon us now. NHRA wrapped up this past weekend. NASCAR wrapped up this past weekend. Pennsylvania, well, they're still racing, I think. And quite a few others wrapped up. USAC, ASCS. We've got so much to get to. This is like a jam-packed show today.
Well, the way it is outside, I don't know how anybody could be racing anything besides maybe you doing a few passes on your snowmobile.
Hey, on them snowmobiles, you got to remember this. It's on pavement. It's not on snow. But here's what we were thinking, though. Saw a snow-packed picture of Eldora. In fact, I'm putting it up right now if you're watching on YouTube. That place is covered in snow. It's pretty high bank. They laid some fresh clay down. I'm saying we call up old Roger Slack, and we get us a couple of snowmobiles, and we go rolling around Eldora.
I'm telling you, there's a couple tracks that's got some snow on it that would be fun to do that with right now. I saw some pictures of Kentucky down there, too, the NASCAR track, and, man, it looked pretty awesome underneath the snow there.
With the amount of bumps in the asphalt at Kentucky, can you imagine it would probably turn into, like
a snowcross.
Supercross. Yeah. Snowcross. Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, we got to get going here, folks. Up first, though, a weekend of champions for Team R&R. We talk about the NHRA. Tony Schumacher claimed the Top Fuel title over fellow Don Schumacher Racing teammate Spencer Massey this past weekend out in Pomona. Morgan Lucas won the Auto Club NHRA Fall Nationals in Top Fuel. We move to Funny Cars. Matt Hagan won the event en route to his second world title in Funny Car. Erica Enders-Stevens became the first woman to ever win the Pro Stock Championship. By the way, she won the event as well, too. And finally, in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Hector Arana Jr. won the event, but Andrew Hines won the title. Congrats to all. And really good news for us, Neil. A couple of Team R&R drivers, Matt Hagan and the Sarge, Tony Schumacher, taking home the victory. Great way to cap off the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched the highlights on Sunday on ESPN, and it was very exciting to watch how it all played out there at the end. And I think nothing was more exciting than watching Erica Enders-Stevens get by on lines on that last pass. And he red lighted. They both actually red lighted. Mm-hmm. And he red lighted first, so he ended up losing. But good for her to join the ranks of Shirley Muldowney and Angel Sampe as past female champions for the NHRA. Really, really impressive to see that she put it all together.
The only pro class that there has not been a female world champion in now is Funny Car, which I think Courtney Force will take care of in the next couple of years, honestly.
I agree with you. I mean, definitely you can see it coming there on that side. And impressive watching all the drag racing. The excitement watching these guys clinch the championships. I mean, the Sarge has been there numerous times before. Matt Hagan kind of putting his vengeance back out.
Hagan.
Yeah, Hulk Hagan putting out his vengeance against John Force Racing. It was pretty cool to see him get another championship there. And it was kind of emotional seeing the Arana boys there. Getting a win in the final. And I know the one of the boys, I believe that's Adam Arana, is going into the Coast Guard. So his brother was very emotional putting a victory together there. So good for them. They're good people. And I know the Lucas family helps him out a lot with their program.
You are absolutely right there, Neil. And the awards banquet was last night for the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series. Saw a few of the photos online this morning. I didn't know these drag racing guys cleaned up that nice. Kudos. Ladies, they always look great, of course. But yeah, some of the guys, I noticed this at the Knoxville banquet too.
I was going to say that. I've been seeing some of these banquet photos coming out of the Woo deal down in Charlotte down there. Mm-hmm. And then your guys' deal up at Knoxville. And boy, look like totally different people up there.
I kid you not. Tony Backover and I were up there getting the chance to MC the Knoxville banquet. And I turned to him and I said, this is pretty great. I want to say, ladies, you look amazing as always. Fellas, I don't recognize you without the driver suits and the grease.
No, it's impressive to see everybody enjoying the banquets and having successful years. And looking forward to next year, turning the corner going 2015.
Yes. But before we do that, we move on to NASCAR. And, Neil, we have debated this one hotly
I do want to say that I did call this, okay? I think if
I got close. You better believe on Sunday I was the biggest Ryan Newman fan ever, because if he was going to get all right, we got to set this up. Okay. So we move on into the final events of the 2014 NASCAR season. The trucks kicked things off Friday night. Matt Crafton won his second straight series title. Saturday night was fun as
first guy to ever do that.
Exactly
back.
right.
Yeah.
Against the likes of Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, and several others. I mean, I grew up with the Truck Series. It was Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, Mike Stefanik was running. Mike
Sammy
Bliss.
Slindell was there.
Sammy Slindell was there in 95 with the Channel Lock truck. These are the guys I grew up watching, but it's hard to believe that as dominant as some of those drivers were early in the days of the Truck Series, with Hornaday and Sprague each having 3 titles, that neither one of them ever won back-to-back. So pretty cool for Matt Crafton this year.
Yeah, it is a great organization that he has there.
Based out of Sandusky, Ohio, by the way.
It's
Thor Sport Motorsports.
Thor Sport, really, again, I mean, consistency and Matt being there and the performance throughout the year, and it landed him a championship again, and back-to-back. That's impressive.
Very impressive. He's a pretty good guy. We move on to Saturday night. There was no title drama because some youngster named Chase Elliott had locked up the title the week before at Phoenix, but Matt Kenseth in the old GameStop Toyota put on quite the fight, and then really the battle was for the owner's title between the number 54 machine that seems to win every week, which is normally driven by Kyle Busch, and the number 22 machine of Penske Racing, Team Penske as it is known now anyways. Team Penske ultimately claiming that. So Saturday was great. Got the chance to listen to that race on the overnight drive home. Sounded like a good one. And finally we get to Sunday. Now we're going to debate this for a little while.
I'm going to tell you straight out of the chute on this, though.
All right.
I have been a very skeptic of the chase, and I still will. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the way that the driver becomes a champion, but in this case, and the way it played out, and the driver that it did win was by far the fastest driver throughout the year. Granted, he did not get the most points. Logano ended up with the most points. Mm-hmm. If he played out in a regular season.
But, you know, the funny thing is, Tony Stewart had this quote a few years ago, because you and I both see this when we take a look at the notes for the show, which, by the way, we do our homework on the show most weeks. Most weeks, yes.
I get a cheat sheet on Monday morning.
But Tony Stewart had a great thing to say about that. Somebody says, if you would have been under this and this format, you would have this, this, and this. And he'd look, stop. That's not what we're racing with anymore.
No, it's exactly the way that Brian France and Mike Helton and NASCAR put it together, and they did. I think it was a success. They put it together. They put a lot of the naysayers, myself, and a few guys back in their seats with the idea of that, hey, let's go out there and let's put the drama behind it. They had the drama. They had the excitement. I think the drivers, Harvick said it best, I'm going to go and sleep for a week. I think that's the mentality that went into the chase for the guys that were fighting for the championship. I mean, every ounce of energy was drained in trying to perform and be there. And I'm going to say it with you calling on the deal with Newman. Newman was spectacular. I mean, it was an absolute great race. And what was more impressive is all 4 of those guys were fighting for the lead at one time in this race.
Yes.
And all those teams were championship teams in my eyes because they were able to perform and all be in the hunt for the championship in this race.
That, to me, was the one thing that stuck out. I didn't get the chance to watch the race. I kind of had to follow along on Twitter and listen to the radio a little bit and catch up after it was over on video. But the thing that made the biggest difference to me was it really did have that, and this is what they were shooting for, it did have that Game 7 Super Bowl type moment where you had these teams. There was no team. Like, my biggest fear was listening after practice and qualifying. Newman was way back. Like, he qualified 12th. In practice, he was 20th. My biggest fear was you were going to have 2 or 3 guys just running away with it at the beginning, and then the other guy or the other 2 guys were going to be back markers. That was my fear. But you saw Richard Childress Racing step up to the plate. You saw Team Penske. You saw Joe Gibbs Racing, and finally Stewart-Haas. All 4 teams, all 4 organizations, you could tell not just the cars they had in the fight, but the entire organization rallied around each one of their respective teams, and I've got to feel that in the shop the week prior, they were unbolting pieces. They were putting the best of the best onto the 4 machines that went down there. I truly believe that.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that all the teams put out their best cars and drivers in the situation, and team in general. I know Logano's team had a little bit of trouble on their last pit stop, which kind of took Joey out of the mix.
Yep.
And you had Darian Grubb making the decision to keep Denny out. And I'm going to tell you, Darian Grubb would have looked like a hero if those cautions didn't fall the way they did in the last few laps of the race. We wouldn't be talking about Kevin Harvick winning a championship. We would have been talking about Denny Hamlin winning his first championship.
That, to me, is what I really appreciated about it, because you probably know this, but I'm a huge fan of the gamblers.
Yes.
I like the nickname that you could probably go with it. I like the riverboat captains. I like the guys that'll hedge their bets, that will make a decision and stick with it, okay? What Darian Grubb did, hey, you're a hero or a zero. We didn't make it all the way here playing it safe. I'm not playing it safe in this race. He went out there and he made a call, and it was the wrong call. Now, there was a 50-50 chance, possibly, that it could go the other way. You're standing in victory lane. Darian Grubb, by the way, 2-time championship-winning crew chief. There's not too many of those out there.
Right.
Denny Hamlin gets his first championship. Toyota gets their first championship. There's a lot riding on that decision. Now, getting back to Newman and my pick for the championship, like I said, I was a little worried listening to qualifying and practice. I thought this is going to be a joke.
And honestly, before the race started, I thought that the weakest link was going to be Newman, the way that he had performed in practice and qualifying. I really seen, hey, we're talking a lot about Newman in pre-race, and we're doing this and doing that, and he's been kind of the underdog and the sleeper in the situation, and everybody kind of had feelings of pulling for him being the underdog in this 4-man chase deal is what I see. I see him being the weakest out of all 4.
He's the caboose in the train.
Well, yeah, and not saying weakest in the most slowest car and weakest performance car out there. I just didn't think that he had it this weekend. And what was more impressive is I think that Ryan Newman is going to go on a tear in 2015 after what I saw coming out of Homestead. That team and that car and that whole situation has gelled together. And I think in 2015, if they can hold this true and keep that organization where you've got those same group of guys together, I think Newman's going to be hard to beat in 2015.
I could see Newman putting up a 3 or 4 win season next year because, number one, this was their first year altogether, okay? And then as I was doing some more research, Caterpillar's back, Quicken Loan's back, the funding is in place. Austin Dillon's going to have his rookie year out of the way. He's going to contribute more with that 3 car. Paul Menard is there.
Whatever program Paul's on.
Whatever program
we talk
Paul's
about
on.
this all the time. He's on the Paul Menard program.
He's on the Paul Menard program. But what I'm seeing is Earnhardt Childress Racing engines starting to come back a little bit. You saw some of that power. I would say at the end, I'm not sure if it was set up or if it was just maybe being a little bit behind on the power curve versus a Hendrick engine.
Well, I think the other thing that you see is with the flip-flop of Harvick and Newman from teams at the end of last year and going into this year, RCR really didn't have an established leader. They lost that when Harvick left.
And Jeff Burton.
Yeah, exactly. And with that being said, Ryan Newman has proved I'm that guy. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to take the Austin Dillons and the Ty Dillons as they come up, and I'm going to help these guys. That's where your team's going to be in your future for RCR. Newman is the guy, and this weekend I'm going to tell you we're going to talk about this race for a long time, and even the week before at Phoenix where he put his 8 wheels is better than 4 wheels on Kyle Larson. But I would say that this, is your breakout for Newman, and Newman's going to be strong in 2015. I have to agree with you. 3 to 4 wins is very, very possible for him, and another championship run. That being said with Newman. Denny Hamlin, hey, you had to lose one to win one, I guess. He's lost twice now.
I don't think he gets a title.
You don't think so?
No. To me, I just don't see the mentality. Because from what I've seen, and I think he's a great guy.
I have to disagree with you there.
I think he's a nice guy, but to me, in certain situations, he thinks too much. I just see him as being somebody that is not going to pull the trigger because he's too afraid to lose, that he won't just go for the whole thing.
Well,
You saw that in 2010 when Harvick and Jimmy Johnson both gotten into his head, and he spun real early in that race, and it was a mental error.
but you got to think about this. We haven't got to Harvick yet, but Harvick's been doing this for 13 years, and he got his first championship this year.
Yep.
And I don't want to write Denny off and say that he won't get a championship. I think that there's a championship in Denny's future. He's too good of a driver with too good of a team. It's going to happen. Same thing with Logano. His times are coming still.
I would say Logano will win based on sheer speed in the Penske organization.
Of all the teams out there between Logano and Keselowski with Team Penske, that team is very, very strong. And the way Penske, the way the captains actually built all the staff around those two drivers and the cars that they have, and the support of Ford, I mean, they basically are the Ford team over Roush right now.
Yeah, there's no questioning there. So, okay, all right, well, we've talked about Newman. We've talked about Hamlin briefly. We've talked about Logano a little bit. I think Logano's time's coming. He's such a young guy that he will eventually get to where he needs to be. Penske, I'm in favor of Penske more for long-range success because if you look at Team Penske, they've got the 2 Cup cars, and they've got about 3 Indy cars, 5 teams. You go over to Stewart-Haas and what's going on in that organization. There's 4 Cup teams. There's an F1 program. There's so much going on.
There is. There's definitely a lot going on, but I'll tell you the best part that's going on at Stewart-Haas Racing right now, and I'm a big Tony Stewart fan. I'd love to see Tony find his mojo again, and I know he will. Unfortunately, he didn't put a W in the books this year on the Cup
Ended
side.
a 15-year streak, by the way.
Yes.
One of the longest in NASCAR history of at least 1 win per season. That went all the way back to his rookie year in 1999 where he picked up 3.
And I'm going to say that those win streaks and those years of winning like that are going to be coming fewer for the drivers, even the guys that are superstars that are coming up. It's too competitive to be able to put up a win every year if you don't have the flow going with the team and the situation. But in happy situation, the best thing that's going on for Stewart-Haas Racing is Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick and that whole team, how they put it together this year. They came out of the box fast, good, consistent, and they wanted it. I mean, Harvick's been wanting this. He talks about the change in the offseason. A lot of guys would have been scared being with Childress Racing for so long and making that move to Stewart-Haas. Kevin Harvick sealed his fate this year, making him one of those guys that has performed in the Truck Series, has performed in the Nationwide, Camping World, Xfinity, series. Whatever series it is for next year, and then now the Cup Series. Champion. So very excited, and I'm a big Kevin Harvick fan. Love the idea that Harvick finally got his championship.
You want to know why Neil's such a big Kevin Harvick fan, folks? It's got nothing to do with the racing. It's got nothing to do with Stewart-Haas. Neil just happens to be a Kevin Harvick fan because Kevin Harvick is sponsored by Budweiser, the same makers of Neil's ever-favorite Lime-A-Ritas. We move on. USAC wrapped up their season down at Canyon Speedway Park in Arizona this weekend, and it was Brady Bacon claiming the USAC Sprint Car title over Brian Clausen, who, by the way, won the final race. And even bigger news, though, Neil, you probably have more of an update on this than I do. Baby Bacon is on the way.
Yes, due to arrive any moment, actually.
As we record this. Ciciana, if you're listening, we're here with you.
We're all very excited about the news of Baby Bacon being on the way, but really excited that Brady got his first USAC Sprint Car Championship. And with the legendary Hoffman team, great folks over there, great team. And Brady, Ciciana, great people. R&R really happy to be affiliated and doing stuff and merchandise for them. And really looking forward to Chili Bowl, but can't say anything more than very, very excited to see him cap the deal out there.
You are very
in both regards.
In both regards, yes.
Yeah.
Taking care of business, I think, is the name of the game there. And I was doing some research for a project last night, and I was astounded just to see how. And I don't have the facts and figures in front of me right now, but it seemed like at nearly every event, Brady Bacon, quick time, in time trials. That number 69 car, fast all year, multiple wins, did very well, especially on the big tracks. Some wins that stick out to me would be Eldora in the fall, as well as Port Royal during the Eastern Storm Tour. He did win the opening night earlier this year down in Ocala at Bubba Raceway Park. So that number 69 car was up front the entire year. Brian Clausen did a great job of tracking him on down. Clausen in the Tony Stewart Kerr Baggagini and Racing number 20 picked up his second straight Indiana Sprint Week title, so that's good news for them. And the preeminent 360 Sprint Car Series, Winged that is, in the land, wrapped up their season down at Cocapa Speedway in Yuma, Arizona, or near. Jason Johnson won night number 1, and Shane Stewart grabbed night number 2. Jason Johnson, though, he is your champion, Neil. But there was some controversy, and as we record this, still looking to find what the result is. But a fellow team is protesting Johnson's engine, and we will keep you posted here on Gas and Glory. But that's one heck of a way to do it. Win your 5th title and then say, oh, wait, hold on a minute.
Not so much.
We need to test your heads.
Yeah.
And by that, we mean cylinder heads. Yes. Cylinder heads. So your thoughts there on USAC as well as ASCS, wrapping up their years down in somewhere much warmer than Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, I think the ASCS deal, especially going into the weekend, really exciting. Again, another championship that come down to the last weekend of racing, and really kind of shocked. I mean, Jason Johnson didn't have a win all year, actually, and got a win on Friday night, and the performance through the weekend propelled him into the points championship over Swindell and Loyette, and Loyette was the leader going in on this deal. So interesting to see what comes back on the testing of the engine deal. But again, a big congratulations to Jason if everything's legal in this case, to be able to perform in the last weekend and put it together and put a championship in the books.
Jason Johnson, a Team R&R driver, done several things for him over the years. So congratulations there. And congratulations to all of the race winners and all of the champions here, Neil. Pretty much racing on this side of the pond wrapped up. We're starting to ramp up our efforts for folks down in Australia. And then there's a few races coming up here stateside. I believe Turkey Night on its way. Yeah. We're going to be talking some turkey next week because it is the week of Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. And, by the way, got to tell you this, folks. I know that you've seen it on our Facebook page, but Kyle Larson running the Turkey Night. There could be an all-new design featuring that car in the works. That's all we're going to say. Oh, by the way, he's running 2 other dirt races. Keep your eyes posted on our Facebook and our Twitter, as well as www.r-raceware.com. Who knows? We just might have some stocking stuffers for you, all new from Kyle Larson. That's all we can say right now, though. Shh. That's really, after I did all of that, that's all you have.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm just reading my notes here. I'm ready to move on here.
Knoxville Raceway had their banquet this past weekend. That was a great affair. Over $300,000 worth of stuff handed out. And, Neil, it was the first time that I got the chance to go to that. And I got to tell you, the amount of stuff that they give out, not just money, but chassis and rear ends and other parts. I mean, at the end of the night, they put, each class had a set of ping pong balls with each team's name on it, and they drew them on out, and this team was getting a chassis, and this team was getting a rear end, and this team was getting a this and a that. Everybody got something, it seemed like, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool.
That's cool. It looked like really a neat event up there for the championship banquet.
It was a very nice event. I felt, even in my tuxedo, felt underdressed. That's how grand the event was. Which, by the way, I had to wear that tuxedo. And I'm going to say this as a shout out to all of the ladies out there that are wearing fancy dresses and high heels to events this off season. Because we had to stand up there on the stage and smile and look presentable while these champions are making their speeches. Sure. I did not. My dogs were barking in dress shoes, and I'm looking over at the gal standing next to me, and she's in what looks like 3 or 4 inch heels, and I'm sitting here going, I'd love to complain, but she would just slap me if I did.
She probably would have.
So we move on. Great events coming up like what we mentioned. Here in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking more and more about the Winter Heat Series going on down at Cocapa. We'll have Greg Burgess on. He's the promoter down there. A great facility, great guy.
Really excited about that down there.
Yeah, well, that's why we're going to spend some time on this, because this is going to be a huge event. Neil, by the way, one more quick thing I want to discuss before we get on into our preview pieces. The National Sprint League released their schedule here, preliminary schedule, not too long ago. Looking at about a number of shows at Knoxville, 5,000 to win, but we did see finally their payout structure, 3,000 to win, 500 to start. Really, this could end up being a great deal for several Midwest teams being able to run somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 shows, in addition to possibly running Knoxville and Huset's weekly.
Yeah, again, shaping up to be
kind of what I would consider kind of a situation at Central PA with the tracks that run out there. I think that it looks like a deal that the Midwest Sprint Car drivers have finally got a series that they can follow, stay close regional, and have the bucks to continue on and be able to make some money. And looks like good promotion behind it and everything else, and good tracks. So excited to really what actually throughout the season comes out of this situation with the new deal. I mean, it's kind of a lot of question marks there, but always good to see somebody stepping out and trying to promote the sport and do something bigger.
You are very correct. Oh, by the way, $350,000 point fund, $75,000 goes to the winner.
I've seen those numbers. That's pretty stout, man.
So take a look at this. If you win the Knoxville Track Championship, which is $20 grand, you win the NSL title, $95 grand, and you're not doing near the traveling, nor do you have to race Donnie Schatz, Darren Pittman, and Paul McMahon, Joey Saldana every night.
Plus, you don't have to travel from coast to coast.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Moving right along, some of the things coming up here, folks. Like we mentioned earlier, Thanksgiving, gobble gobble. I need to get a turkey sound effect.
Oh, no.
I'll chat with the producer. We'll get that figured out. There we go. PRI show is coming up. R&R Enterprises will be at PRI. So if you're looking to get shirts done, sublimated items done, embroidery done, press releases, cool videos.
Neil's autograph?
Neil's autograph. What else do we have around here?
I don't know.
I kind of feel like we can go on for days with all the things that we can do in this building.
No, I'm really pumped up for PRI to show some of the new stuff that we're working on and make some announcements regarding diecast and different things that's happening. And always like it because of the fact that you're talking to the teams and new sponsors and what's going on for next year and get you pumped up for the season.
Now, it is a great thing to go to PRI, but I got to tell you, getting to PRI, we really need to film that one year, just the sheer manpower it takes to get everything right. Now, last year was worse because we hadn't been in years.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years actually. Or
So getting the engine cranked up, but no, this year, we're rolling in.
We should have had a camera crew with us, especially when we left last year for PRI.
You know, on next week's show, I tell you what, next week's show, we will give you the 411 on what happened to us at PRI last year because we can laugh about it now. But I was mad as heck last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was stressful.
By far, when you're tired, when you're all beat down and tired at the end of PRI, kind of wore out. Want to get everything broke down, put up
on Saturday night,
and out of there. And with the snow that was there last year, it worked out to be a great story. So, be interested in tell everybody about it. I think Kyle learned a lot of lessons last year.
Yeah, Kyle did learn a lot of lessons and kind of looked like an idiot, but we're going to hold on to that story for next week. But yeah, folks, we'll be at the PRI show. We'll have our booth number and all the information that will be available on our Hoseheads ad. We're also going to put it on our website. So if you're coming to PRI, Facebook, the usual channels, we'll have it all out there. We want to see you. We want to talk to you, whether it's shirts, embroidery, sublimation, press releases, videos. Folks, our video business is booming like crazy, and the 2015 calendar is already booking up. So if you want to get on in, doing some of the cool stuff that we do here, talk to us about it. We're going to be at PRI. The Squealy Show. This is going to be something cool. We are working on it as we speak. Neil and I will be here in tuxedo t-shirts doing this award show. Something that we've been looking forward to all year. It's going to be called the Squealies. It's going to be our award show. You're going to love the categories. Stay tuned for more information on that. Finally, before we get on out of here, a big shout out to our good friend, our compadre.
Oh.
The guy. Mr. Ryan the Rough, salesman extraordinaire here at R&R. He is a huge Rams fan. And Neil, what did the Rams do this past weekend?
Well, they kind of shut down a guy by the name of Peyton Manning that plays with the Broncos.
Yep.
Shut them down.
Now, on the season, folks, the Rams have now beat the Broncos and the Seahawks, both teams that were in last year's Super Bowl. By the way, doing some statistical analysis on this Rams-Broncos game, the Rams held Manning to 7 points, 1 touchdown, plus a PAT. The lowest amount he had been held to ever as a Denver Bronco.
It's pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
That Rams team doesn't look bad at all.
Well, they didn't look so hot when a certain team from Western Missouri.
No. The first 10 minutes, they looked awesome.
Yeah,
Not so much after that.
that's like saying that you had the car to beat in the first 10 laps of a 500-lap race.
Or just like I am. I'm a superstar in practice.
Yeah. But anyway, the Chiefs beat the Rams, so we're going to still go with that. Chiefs are my team. We move on anyways, folks. Wrap things up here. One final thing from Neil. Neil, Cardinals made a trade. I know you're very happy about this. You've got 30 seconds to tell us about the trade.
Yeah, pretty cool to be talking about baseball here in the wintertime, but Cardinals made a big trade yesterday, trading what somebody summarized as not such a superstar pitcher, but somebody that's got a future, Shelby Miller, for Jason Hayward from the Atlanta Braves. Great right fielder. Really excited about the addition of Hayward to the team, and I think it's going to provide some runs and some much-needed power for the Cardinals for next year.
Okay, Cardinals also sent a pitching prospect. The Braves also sent a nice middle reliever, hopefully add some heat to our bullpen. And that was Neil's 30 seconds for the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm hoping that we can keep this segment going because I really want to see what he's like if the Cardinals are ever in a Game 7 of the World Series and we only give him 30 seconds to talk about it. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Gas and Glory. And remember, you can pick up our driver's gear at www.r-rracewear.com, the web's largest store for dirt track racing apparel and merchandise. Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the corner, folks. Get those orders in today. On behalf of everyone here at R&R Enterprises, he's Neil Quick and I'm Kyle Luters. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises. All rights reserved. Please visit the web's largest sprint car store today at www.r-rracewear.com. The views and opinions expressed in the show are the host and guest alone and do not directly reflect those of R&R Enterprises.